The recording's in progress. Take us away.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Buddies on Buddies, the show where it's two buddies talking about buddy action comedies. I'm Kenny Lane.
I'm Lucas Hill. And we're buddies.
We are buddies on buddies. Whatever. Well,
it doesn't fucking
whatever.
matter. No one gives a shit. It's stupid anyway. I don't even know why we do that. All right. Yeah, as we talk buddy comedy movies, action movies, usually from the 80s. But before we tell you why we're experts on movies, let's give us a little history of who we are. Kenny, do you want to give a little history?
Sure. I'm you know that song Easy Like Sunday Morning?
Mm-hmm.
That's me.
Okay, great. That's Kenny.
I didn't sing it, but it describes me.
Yeah, no, you're like the guy who breaks up and like sings songs because they said it perfectly what I mean.
Here's a mixtape.
Quit sending me Offspring songs. But it's exactly how I feel. We met in film school. We both worked in the industry. I still work in the industry. Kenny works at a golf course now, but he had a good run.
Very successful. Made a lot of money, broke a lot of hearts.
He knows.
Now I'm just a lowly golf pro.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're technically a pro now. He knows more about movies than I do by a lot, but I have the much better taste. And what movie did we watch this week?
I watched Nightmare Alley.
No. Hold on. What buddy movie are we covering this week?
Oh, what buddy movie we're covering this week? We watched the 1987 Touchstone Pictures release, Stakeout, starring Richard Dreyfuss and Emilio Estevez.
And Madeline Stowe, pretty big role. And
Aidan Quinn.
And we have a lot to talk about. Yeah, the dad from Wonder Years and Forrest Whitaker. Doesn't matter. We have a lot to talk about. Before we do that, we're going to get right to that. Kenny, what did you watch this week just for fun?
That's where I say what I watched this week?
Yeah, now you're doing it. I get why it's confusing though. I get it.
Okay.
I'm going to figure that out before next week.
All right. Well, I watched Nightmare Alley, the new Guillermo del Toro directed movie. It's up for Best Picture. The nominations just came out this week. I watched that.
Did you like it? I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was great. It reminded me of a really well-made Tales from the Crypt episode, and I'm a big fan of the old Tales from the Crypt show. So I haven't really connected with a lot of Guillermo del Toro movies besides Blade 2, but I just find them kind of off-putting and creepy, especially his "I'm a Fuck a Fish" movie that swept the Oscars a couple years ago. Yeah, exactly. Didn't connect with it. Admired it. Wanted to like it. Saw where it's coming from.
I like that. That's the porn version of that. I'm a fuck a fish.
Yeah, that was the working title, I think. Yeah, I did like that one. Pan's Labyrinth was just, I don't know, strange, weird. He doesn't really do it for me. But this one I really liked. I thought it was great.
Your girl co-wrote that. Do you know that?
Kim Morgan. My Facebook friend, Kim Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
I commented on one of her posts about it recently. She has not responded. So I think we're just Facebook friends, unfortunately.
That's too bad. But I know she watches, so shout out to Kim Morgan.
Kim Morgan, the co-writer of Nightmare Alley.
Great. I watched the one that stands out anyway, the Kane Mutiny. We had never seen that.
The old Humphrey Bogart one?
Yeah. That is a great movie. Really
great movie. Also, that romantic subplot is super necessary.
So forced in. That's for the time. I'm surprised there wasn't more and music numbers to start the movie. Ridiculous. They had to do that back in the day. Aside from those things, it's freaking such a great movie.
Yeah, my dad was a huge Humphrey Bogart fan. That was one of his favorites. Yeah, the Kane Mutiny. It's one of his kind of more sinister roles, I guess, like that, like Treasure of the Sierra Madre and stuff. But yeah, he's great in that.
Yeah, and researching it, it was like he was already dying, and he lobbied for that role, and they wanted someone younger, and he took a huge pay cut because he wanted to do it. But all interesting stuff. But the most interesting to that is the lead, the young guy. I was like, that guy's not very good. And how come I've never seen him in anything else? And then they were grooming him to be a huge star.
I just remember that
at 25, a private plane crash at the age of 25.
Oh, wow.
Like,
I didn't know that.
He was like going to the stratosphere and then he died in a plane crash. I realized that was a bad
way to fuck everything up, idiot.
I felt bad. I was like, this guy sucks. That's probably why I haven't seen him in anything. I was like, oh, that's why.
Well, no, that romantic subplot with him and the girl, it just brings the movie to a dead halt every time. It's really out of place and really unnecessary. That movie would be a great movie without it, I think.
They do that all the time with back in the day. Like, it's so annoying. It's because they had to appeal to everybody. Because if you go to see a movie, you're probably seeing one every 3 months or even a year.
It's a tough courtroom military drama. There doesn't need to be romance in this, but back then they just I guess they just thought every movie should have some of that.
Well, that's how Bollywood movies are too, because they want to appeal to everybody. So they all have dance numbers, they all have action sequences. They have to have literally everything. And old American movies were the same way. Like, they had to have music, they had to have a dancing scene, they had to have romance, they had to have action, even if it's like this.
Well, that's why, like, even like Asian cinema and stuff, like they seem almost schizophrenic in their tonal changes constantly. But they figure a lot of people going to the movies, I think back in the day, were peasants. So, and peasants when they buy a ticket, they want to see it all. I want to see action, comedy, drama, romance. So it's like I get where they're coming from with that, but it, for my taste or my sensibilities, it just really throws you off when it's like a different movie just came in out of nowhere and took over.
Well, when I write, I like to, what do the peasants want to see? And then I get to writing my movies,
This works for the common man.
You fucking idiot.
Get all Barton Fink about it. Yeah.
All right. So that's what we watched this week, or at least the ones we wanted to talk about. So let's get into the meat of this movie critic video podcast hamburger we call Buddies on Buddies. What did you think of Stakeout?
Well, before we say it, do you want to give the little synopsis about what the movie's about?
That's right. Two bumbling detectives are stake out a woman because her ex-boyfriend criminal escaped from prison, and they want to see if he comes and contacts her.
Why are you enunciating like that?
Because I'm thinking as I go.
Okay. It's like you're taking a shit or something. Like get the guy.
I'm not into scatological humor.
Okay.
And then one of them falls in love with the woman, and action comedy ensues.
Yeah. Boy, does it ensue.
I think I nailed that. So what did you think of
Okay. Well, I hadn't seen it for a long time. I wanted to watch it again because we've been kind of watching not so hot movies, and I did have nice memories of Stakeout. It was a very popular movie. It's a top 10 box office grosser of 1987. Actually outgrossed just barely Lethal Weapon that year, which is kind of
really?
One of the
Lethal, not to jump on it, but Lethal Weapon did underperform. It did better on the home box office where it did its
home box office. It became like a super hit. The Lethal Weapon 2 was a huge hit. Lethal Weapon 3 was a big hit. So the sequels, and the first one's not really a comedy, but like it kind of is considered, the series is considered like the ultimate buddy action comedy series. Right. But anyway, it outgrossed Lethal Weapon that year by just a little bit.
That's interesting. Yeah,
they'll made a little more. So it was really popular. Your counts. And so going back, I wanted to watch it because it's one of the few like buddy action comedies from the 80s that takes place in my home state of Washington now. Even though watching it, I was like, this doesn't look like Washington State, but they actually shot it in takes place in around the Seattle area, but they shot it in Vancouver, British Columbia. So, but anyway, on the whole, I liked it. I enjoyed this one. It was, I thought it was well directed, had a good pace. There are some problematic stuff with it, just about like all 80s movies are, or they have now. When you look back, you're like, this and that. I thought, Emilio and Richard Dreyfuss made a pretty good team. And one thing I kind of liked about it, which is it seems like the buddy action comedies now, like Central Intelligence or like The Heat or something like that, the villains in them aren't much of a threat. They're just kind of like doofy goofballs. Like the violence is always played really silly, or just not even, they really tone down the violence, whereas the old movies like 48 Hours or Beverly Hills Cop or this one, like there's a body count's pretty high and the villains are really fucking like evil people and that are dangerous. You kind of feel that. So I kind of liked it.
The B plot is basically them going on a murder spree, getting to them. Like that's the whole B plot, like just them murdering people.
the jailbreak opening sequence is pretty violent as far as like, you know, they attack like the hospital nurse guys and the guards and stuff. And yeah, it's pretty intense. That's a pretty intense opening scene. I do not think you would think that movie's a comedy at all if you just watched the first 10 minutes. You were just like, how could this be a comedy?
No, I love the first act and I like the last act. I did not like the middle, but the first act is they get everything out. And I love that the detectives suck. I love, you know, like they totally fuck up at the beginning, you know, they're just shitty detectives. I thought that was funny.
Did you like Emilio hopping in the forklift to chase the bad guy down? Like, why the fuck would you hop? And if you could just keep running, you're much better chance of catching up to him than stopping what you're doing, getting in a forklift and trying to chase after him.
Figuring it out.
It was just like... Yeah, it was the only reason they did that was so they could drive a forklift into the harbor, you know, for that in a slow motion shot. But you know,
but I enjoyed all of that. And then once they get there, then it gets really creepy. Also, Emilio
the voyeurism things.
Yeah, it's Mary, my wife, was like, "What the fuck is?" I was like, I knew it was coming. She quit halfway through. Like, I told you, like, this isn't. And then she's into him at the end, you know, it's like, oh,
yeah, Jesus. watching it with Megan, she was very creeped out by these guys. You know, I thought they were likable, of course, but
they have two charming actors, so it's like,
well, Megan would argue with that. She was not a Richard Dreyfuss fan. Well, she doesn't really know Richard. I mean, she knows, I think, Richard Dreyfuss. She's seen like him Jaws and, you know, American Graffiti and stuff, but I don't think Richard Dreyfuss really hasn't been in anything really. I mean, he's been like small parts like here and there, but he hasn't really starred in movies since like the 90s, like Mr. Holland's Opus or whatever. So he hasn't really been, you know, in the public conscious for a long time. She did not think he was like sexy or cool or funny or anything. Just started calling him Dick Doofus like the whole movie. Like, what's Dick Doofus doing now? And yeah, so I liked Richard Dreyfuss. I liked Emilio Estevez, but you know, I thought they had good chemistry and stuff. But actually, I think this is a much more of a Richard Dreyfuss movie than a Emilio Estevez movie.
He has nothing to do. He does nothing.
He doesn't do very much. No, he sits in the dark binoculars and
And he says, and I think they wrote it. I don't know much about the production of it because there's not a lot of info on it online, but I feel like that part was written for a comedian and they were able to get Emilio Estevez. Really well. It seems like he's saying like jokes and stuff. I'm like, is that supposed to be funny?
Yeah.
He's not.
It's supposed to be like reactionary like stuff, but he's just kind of like, oh, wow. You know, like he doesn't really say.
And he keeps going. Jokes, even really. The last line of the movie, boner. He's like,
what a boner. Well, he says it a couple times. It's like that. I think the director was like, that's such a great line. What a boner. That's going to be our closing line. Also at the end, when that is one of my favorite, like buddy, you know, action comedy cliches when he's walking up to, you know, one's on a gurney, like getting lifted in the ambulance. He's like, you're going to be okay, buddy. You know, and it's like, hey, you know, next time, you know, how about, you know, I drive or so. They said something like that. And then the guy's like, haha. And then like they knocks on the ambulance and they take him away. Like, that's in just so many fucking these movies. It was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood too. I remember that was in there.
That's really funny.
Yeah,
he had to have been doing that on purpose. You would think Quentin Tarantino.
I think there's something knowing about that, but yeah, it's in so many of these movies. But yeah, Emilio Estevez. But even though they're not comedic actors per se, but I thought they did have a lived-in chemistry, and I like that. You could see them that's actually being partners and stuff. One thing though, like about them both being these like kind of like there's scenes with Richard Dreyfuss being tough, like holding a toothpick and telling his captain like this is fucking bullshit, you know. Richard Dreyfuss, I looked it up. He is 5'4", and Emilio Estevez is 5'5". So you're what 6'3", 6'4"?
Yeah, I'm a real man.
Yeah, you would tower over them. Like these are not big dudes, but.
It doesn't mean I would
point that out.
It doesn't mean I would have the screen presence. I would tower over a lot of actors, including Humphrey Bogart. It doesn't mean
right. Oh yeah,
I should get the part.
But doesn't matter. I tell you, Dick Doofus is going to bring you down to down to size when he just knocks you off the screen.
I like how Megan is like a high school bully watching these movies. Oh, Dick Doofus, what's he up to?
Yeah, I like it. I like her heckling. That makes it. I call it movie enhancement.
Yeah, so it's better than Mary's, which is movie not enhancement.
Just leaving.
If she leaves, I'm lucky. It's probably she only leaves because it's doing this. Otherwise, she questions the patriarchy and my place in it for watching a movie like that.
Oh,
yeah.
So... Well, I'm sure the series Buddy Action Comics in the 80s, I'm sure it's not going to get much better. No. These movies are not, these are not that progressive. And if you're triggered, it's not going to be a good time.
But she knows how important this is for me and you and our careers.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. So she.
Oh yeah. So she's supportive. She just doesn't believe in it.
Yeah. She knows this is our last shot at anything good in this world. So it's very supportive.
You might hate these and you might think they're shit. This is my last shot. God damn it.
Buddies on buddies is all I got, babe. I do want to talk about Madeline Stowe because I thought she was awesome. And it's like her first major role. It might have even been her first role, but like star making. No, she's great in it.
She was great. She kind of was like flirting with being a movie star herself there in like the mid 90s. Like
I thought you said she was flirting with you. I was like, ooh, I haven't heard this story.
She was flirting with me one time at a Hollywood party. No,
she's with Brian Benben, dude. You don't have a chance.
Oh no, man, a dream on guy. I cannot compete with that.
No,
that's
toast.
You blew me out of the water. But no, she was like in like Blink, this like mystery thriller. She like headlined with Aidan Quinn, plays like her love interest in that one too.
He was very good as well.
You know, she's
the antagonist.
Yeah, Aidan Quinn was really good in this movie and stuff, you know. And I on the whole though, like since we have been watching kind of like low rent shit, like I was impressed by how well directed the movie was. I mean, yes, it's got problematic elements, like the whole scene with Richard Dreyfuss like going in the thing, like spying on her while she's in the shower and stuff. It's very 80s, like Porky's, Revenge of the Nerds kind of shit, when it was just like okay to like peeping Tom shit. But yeah, I think with all the whole, I think it's well made, well written, well acted. You know, like so it was kind of refreshing this time to see, you know, watch one that I thought actually was like A-list movie, I guess, or A-list buddy action comedy of its time.
No, it was nice. It's much more entertaining, and the director's a good director. He's done a lot of good stuff, or did a lot of good stuff before he moved into TV directing.
He kind of had a run of these type of like buddy action things, doing like The Hard Way, which I think is a pretty like underrated one. We might get to that later, and like Bird on a Wire and another Stakeout and stuff. So
and War Games, that was his big one.
War Games was a big one, and Saturday Night Fever was his kind of big like you know breakthrough one. But I think you sent me that Richard Dreyfuss just recently tweeted about Stakeout.
He tweeted about Stakeout 2 yesterday.
Another Stakeout,
another Stakeout. Sorry, and he was like, how it was like one of the best experiences he had filming stuff. I don't want to watch that one again, but it was just weird that he tweets out that like why we're doing this.
Well, I remember even back then when Rosie O'Donnell had her talk show when I was like a teenager in high school, she had, I think, like Emilio Estevez or Richard Dreyfuss on that one time, and they were talking about like how much fun that to make that movie was, and how they all thought they were making like this really awesome movie, and then it came out and the critics were like, well, you know, like, and the you know, box office wasn't anywhere near where the first Stakeout was. And I can kind of see that. I mean, you know, really fun making the movie doesn't really translate sometimes into great cinema. Like look at the Cannonball Run movies, or a lot of old Burt Reynolds ones where they're having a blast off screen. But anyway, but I kind of like that element that like, I think you can it does kind of like you can tell that Emilio Estevez and Richard Dreyfuss were kind of getting along and having a good time on this movie. And I haven't watched the sequel, you know, again recently, but I like that aspect. I think you can kind of tell it on screen.
Yeah, they do have chemistry. Richard Dreyfuss was also saying how another Stakeout came out too late after the original Stakeout, and that probably hurt some of its commercial appeal.
I think it came out like 93, so 6 years is pretty late to capitalize on the success of Stakeout, I would say. Maybe they're just busy with other projects and it finally came along. But yeah, it's like you should really, like 2 or 3 years later is when a sequel should really come out. Once you get into like 6 years, well, then they have that whole thing.
They didn't have a Rosie O'Donnell yet. They had to wait until they had a Rosie O'Donnell. Then they can make their movie. They had the script. They were ready to go. They just needed that star power.
Star power. Well, I remember liking that, you know, another Stakeout when it came out, as far as like being a decent sequel to the first one. But I
remember seeing it in the Dollar Theater, and though I was young and my critical mind was yet to be formed, I was like, this movie sucks. I was a little kid. I hope
Well,
Emilio.
what do you do?
I almost want to watch it again to see that Emilio Estevez has more to do in that movie. I'm pretty sure he does.
Yeah.
But I know Madeline Stowe's in it, so I'm glad her and Richard Dreyfuss are still together.
Or yeah, that was nice. They brought her back for like a cameo for continuity's sake. That always throws me off when they just like Karate Kid Part 2, like, oh, she left me for a jock. Oh, I have a new love interest. Like it's because they just couldn't write a decent enough role to bring her back, I guess. But so I like that she came back for the sequel for that little part. But yeah, but one thing about Stakeout though, like a couple little things I noticed, like the amount of violence though at the end. These kind of movies, like I said, like 48 Hours or something, whereas like people getting blown away and all this, like violent endings. And then they kind of end on this like cheesy pop song, like after they've killed like all people. Like this one has that, is it love, we're after. Like I like that a lot. Like, I think Beverly Hills Cop ends with this like big Patti LaBelle song after they like mowed down like 20 drug dealers or something,
I like
I miss that.
I love the death with the guy with the wood crashing.
Oh yeah, kind of drowning between the logs and stuff.
It's like that Ken Kesey novel.
Oh, the Sometimes a Great Notion. Yeah.
I was like, oh,
what's a better drowning scene, that one or Stakeout?
I'd have to watch them back to back to be sure.
I'm gonna go with Sometimes a Great Notion. It's a little more affecting, but still, let's not discount Stakeout's nice drowning scene they have at the end.
Well, it's just such a dark fucking way to kill off a henchman, like.
Yeah, well, it's like, can you die? Can you not get around the logs? Like, but it works. It makes sense.
Yeah, it's also an Insomnia where you have to run on the logs, otherwise you're going to drown.
Oh, right, yeah. And then you can't. You have to swim around them when the water's so cold. But yeah, the one thing Aidan Quinn did again, the talking villain thing when he has the gun on Dreyfuss, and it's just, I hope you believe in reincarnation. Just pull the trigger, man.
And that line was so stupid because maybe if they had talked about afterlife or something previously, maybe they cut that out, because he says it out of nowhere.
Maybe it could have been like a driving scene with his buddy when they're on the run and stuff, and they talk about reincarnation or something. But yeah, it just seemed kind of out of left field. Just it gives a little moment. I did like that Madeline Stowe is the one that saves Richard Dreyfuss versus just Emilio Estevez coming in and saving him again. So I did like that they had that little element in there for the kind of the leering object that she is for most of the movie.
Yeah, so she's not a damsel in distress at the end. It's nice when a woman has her own agency, even in these movies, and it's still very rare. Except for the last movie. Oh no, in Partners, they were all sex objects. Every single female character or woman character.
The Partners was not good at giving anybody any dignity at all. Yeah.
We should revisit
including ourselves for watching it. Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to talk about in this movie? I know
one other thing, did you notice that the other, like the other bad guy, like that secondary villain with the bright orange hair, like he was completely dubbed, like when he came into like you didn't notice that? No. Oh, I thought it was really bad when he walks in the police department and he spots Richard Dreyfuss. He's like, hey there, sometime we meet again, we dance. Like it was really off, but I was like, that he was really badly dubbed. I looked it up, like, oh yeah, they he couldn't do his lines, or his accent was too heavy or something. They had someone redub it. But that was, if you watch it, wait for him to talk, it's pretty funny.
It's not that big of a part. You think they would just recast it. It's not like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Hercules, like you could just recast
or just get a more, I don't know, a better ADR artist or something to come in and redo it. But it was really off, and I thought it was pretty funny.
I thought his what was his cousin, who's his partner in crime, who's like this moral compass, he's like not wanting to go and kill all these people. That never went anywhere.
Yeah, he's well, no, but he was pretty like hit or miss. Like, I'm not shooting at cops, man. When the highway chase, and he's like, just do it. It's like, okay, just get the shotgun out, starts firing away. It's like, wow, he really is like, he's like, when's it gonna be enough, brah? Like, yeah, he really went out of his way, risked his life for all this stuff and doing all this crazy shit for this guy who's obviously a complete psychopath. And he seems to have a moral compass. We never really find out why he's helping him or what their relationship is or anything.
Yeah, it seems like that was something that's half baked. It was probably more developed, and they just kind of put that to the wayside, like, whatever, because I would imagine they ended up killing him to show how bad he's broken, Also, yes, before we move on, there's
go ahead.
I do not know how Madeline Stowe's character ended up with such a hardcore criminal like Aidan Quinn. Did they establish like what her life was like before living in this giant
Not
house
really.
in Seattle?
No. Well, they established that the plot needs that to happen, and she can't be. But she's like, I was wild, I was crazy, but then I've kind of woke up, and so because they can't have her be this wild chick because that's gonna, be off-putting for her and Richard Dreyfuss to hook up. So
like she should have track marks. She should have, like
she should be way more fucked up than owning a house or living in this big house all by herself in Seattle. But
did they establish what her job was? I don't remember.
Now that I think about it, I don't think so.
That's a nice house.
Works. Yeah. It's not bad for Seattle. Yeah. What it's supposed to be Seattle.
Well, I love that. Yeah. He's such a hard criminal and like knows everybody in every prison, because he was grilling him on. I'm like, why is he with her? Who is she? I'm more curious about who she is now. Like,
right.
But they never touched on
who
that.
Is she? Well, they just basically said she used to be bad. Now she likes the good guys, which I really liked Richard Dreyfuss's whole like, I wanted to be bad. He does that whole like line.
Yeah, he's like, no, I can be good, but I'm also bad. Or whatever. He's like,
it wasn't convincing at all.
And she ate it up. She ate it up.
Oh yeah, she's way into Dick Doofus in this movie. Which again, I was just like, I know he was a big star back in the day, but if you're not familiar with Richard Dreyfuss's Oscar-winning work, I could see someone being very confused why this guy is playing a cop or playing
any type of guy.
It's kind of like,
Have you ever seen Bosch? That's kind of every time I watch Bosch, which I don't watch a lot of it, I don't buy him as. I had a coach who was like 5'4" in PE, and that's what he reminds me of. That's what Richard Dreyfuss reminds me of. It's just like I really have time respecting you. But the difference is, I love Richard Dreyfuss so much that I'm happy that he's in a movie. I don't care what he's playing.
You're a huge Richard Dreyfuss fan, then?
Oh, I think he's great. Yeah, his presence. If you watch him, like his mannerisms, everything, like he is just filling up the frame. Like he is so good.
Yeah,
he's a very good actor.
No, I think he's really good in this movie. And he's obviously really good in like Jaws and American Graffiti and The Goodbye Girls, when he won the Oscar for. He's really great in that and stuff. But so, what would you give Stakeout, like 1 to 10?
As an actual movie, probably 5.5, closer to 6.
Oh, wow.
5.5.
Okay.
For what it is, the time capsule and everything, it's competent.
Well, I would say it's a little more than competent. I mean, there is some problematic stuff in there, but I rate it on like the buddy action comedy scale.
That's a different.
I would give it like I would give it like a solid 7 or maybe even 8. I think it's really well made. It's got some good action sequences. The soundtrack's pretty dated. Like when it gets pretty silly at times with like Richard Dreyfuss coming out of the house trying to wear the hat, trying to disguise himself. There's this chase and the music's really of the 80s. But as far as like these movies go, I think it's a pretty well made one. And I think it's if you like these kind of movies, it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, I don't think you'll be wasting your time watching it if you're into these type of movies. I would never just suggest this movie to anybody just watching a film, though. So
no, well, it's dated. It'd be kind of like going back to something that's, I don't know. It's like it's coming out of the blue and just being, hey, check out, Stakeout. But if we're talking about buddy action comedies, I think this is it's
buddy action comedy. Yeah, I mean, on a buddy action comedy, I'd probably give it 6.5, closer to 7. But I'm tough on my scaling. Like to me, there's never been a 10. 8s rarely happen. It's not like I do, my rating skills.
Well, I'm trying to think
about
like
we talked
10.
About that before.
Yeah,
the 10's never been made. Like the 10's
basically
Nirvana.
and pop. There's no like 10s on IMDb. I don't think. Like
no,
I think Shawshank Redemption's like 9.2 or something, and but a 0 would be like just a dead
blank
wall, like just like a blank screen. Yeah.
I think we talked about like the what's it called? What's his name? Warhol, who just filmed The Building for 10 hours. That's close to his 0.
That's Empire. But I think that was intended just to be like on display at a museum or at a party. It wasn't really meant for people to buy a ticket and sit down like for 15 hours and watch it.
I've seen it at the Hollywood Bowl twice.
Right. Yeah. I saw it on the premiere back in '66.
Oh man.
I took my whole family. They hated me for making them sit through that.
Yeah, so that's Stakeout. I don't think, is there anything else you want to add before we move on?
I think we're good. Well, what did we learn from Stakeout?
What did we learn from Stakeout? That's good. I learned, I relearned, which I keep relearning with every one of these movies we watch, that times have changed. Times were way more, I mean, racist, of course, but also very, very sexist. It is still patriarchy, and it was worse back then.
Yeah,
worse, and it's hilarious.
Oh yeah, I'm not a big fan of people that just comb through old movies just to point shit out on them and say how bad. I think that's a waste of time, and it's really easy to do. But yeah, that there is like some problematic stuff in here, especially with like cops using their authority. What could they do as far as what they should, acting professional and whatnot. So yeah, I'm with you there. But I think I learned that it doesn't matter how short or dorky you are, you can still be a badass cop and get the girl and kill the bad guy.
Hey, it's just how you carry yourself,
Yeah.
Richard Dreyfuss in real life could probably kick my ass, so you never know. Don't judge a book by its cover.
Maybe if like we could do a challenge, like a celebrity boxing type thing, if he's watching, which I'm sure he is, tag him in the tweets that we just talked about Stakeout. And if you want to meet me in front of,
I'll fucking beat your asshole, man. I'll
fucking beat this. Want me to be in Circle K? I'll fucking.
You're gonna need a bigger ship. I would love to beat the shit out of him.
I thought you said you loved him.
I do. I love my dad, and I love
to have the bragging right. Just have the bragging right. I fucked up Mr. Holland so bad.
So it's my turn to pick the next movie,
right? Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Well, this is going to marry into our fan mail section because we do have our first fan mail. It's from Ed Bindzik.
Okay.
He commented
I know who that is. Yeah.
It's your
What's
friend.
Up, Ed?
What's up, Ed? He said he would
shout out to Ed.
He would love for us to do Theodore Rex when you have time. It's the best ever. And since it is my week to choose, I'm sorry, Ed, we are not watching that.
Yeah, we might get to it down the road, but Lucas, that'll be torture, I think, for Lucas.
Yeah, no. And plus, there's also, it's been covered exhaustively because it's so silly on most. There's a lot of YouTube channels that cover that.
I'm sure it's one of those movies. It's hard to believe it actually exists. That it's that like wow, yeah. Should we just say it's Whoopi Goldberg teams up with a Tyrannosaurus Rex?
Yeah,
to solve crime. Yeah,
and it's crazier than that even sounds. That movie's fucking batshit. But we'll get to that down the line. I'd like to do something a little more high quality. I'm thinking like, not. Is it okay to go straight to a sequel? Well, how often have you seen? Because I haven't thought of this, so maybe we should just talk about what we want to see. Like, can we jump straight to another 48 hours? Is that too big? Are you too familiar with that?
Well, I would say we should start with the original. I'm pretty familiar with both of the movies. I saw them both a lot as a kid.
Well, if you're too familiar, let's do some. What's one that you've been thinking about that you aren't
I think 48 hours actually. 48 hours actually. I was on my list of like movies coming up because that new Netflix show Voyeur. Have you seen that?
No.
Like, it's produced by David Fincher. It's basically just people doing these essays on movies, and the last episode is an essay about 48 hours. So I would like to I was thinking about revisiting 48 hours. I mean, we could just jump to another 48 hours if you want, but I think if we're gonna do, like, we should probably cover the first one before we jump into the second one, just to refresh our memories.
Do you want to know what I want to do? It's not a comedy, so we can't do it. Never mind. Yeah, I was thinking of In the Heat of the Night because Sidney Poitier passed away.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's not a comedy. No, it is not funny. Let's just do 48 hours. We should hit some of these bigger dogs early on. So let's do 48 hours.
Yeah. All right, that sounds good. We'll do 48 hours for next week.
Great. And then that's pretty much it. Like, what were we going to talk about? We weren't going to do goals of the week. Wasn't there something else you wanted to do instead? I didn't put it in my notes.
I think we did like what did we learn from this?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So let me just erase that so I don't do that. So we already talked about
we don't have goals anymore.
Yeah, we don't have any
This
goals.
is it. We've reached the Mount Olympus. Yeah.
It's a lot easier to not have goals. I keep telling my therapist that.
I love living without goals. It's so frank.
Man. I wake up, I smoke my cigarette, and I get nothing done. That's number 9, baby.
Killing it.
All right, so we'll do 48 hours. I will post that. People will know where to find 48 hours. Is there anything you want to leave on? I don't like an empty goodbye.
Empty goodbyes?
I don't like that. You got to give me something.
Oh, God.
Come on, Kenny.
Hey, geez. What's at stake in a stakeout? Your feelings. See Stakeout this Christmas.
That'll do it. Everybody have a good night.
Okay. Goodbye, guys.